Hello everyone. For today's talk, I'm going to start by telling you guys about my last weekend because that's how all good stories start. It was Saturday night. I was at my friend Eric's house and we were playing some poker. We had finally organized a real poker night for my friends. Now, I was really excited to go into this game because I'm far better at Texas Hold'em than any of my friends. However though, from the start of the game, I just kept getting the worst hands over and over again until all of the $20 that I'd put in to buy chips was just completely gone and I'd run out of chips. So frustrated that I lost all my money, I immediately went for my wallet to take $5 out and buy more chips to play back in. Because I just had a feeling that things were going to turn around for me. I had a feeling I was going to get lucky. I had a feeling I was going to get big. So this begs the question, why did I feel so lucky? Why do we gamble? To answer this question, I'm going to break down the neuroscience behind gambling into three different parts. We have translational probes, behavioral economics, and cognitive distortions. Let's start with translational probes. Translational probes can be broken down by decisions made by the orbital frontal cortex, specifically risk versus reward decisions. Now, these decisions are not alone isolated to the hobby of gambling, and many species besides humans have to go through these decisions every day. So because of this, it's not implausible that we would not be able to conduct an experiment on, say, lab rats to test this idea of gambling. Now, a group in 2009 based in California conducted an experiment called the rat gambling task. In this lab, a rat was inserted into this box, as seen here, and had 4 tubes in which it could crawl through. At the end of each tube was a different amount of sugar pellets. One tube had 1 pellet, one tube had 2, one had 3, and one had 4. Now, when first prompted by this situation, human and rats alike would probably go for the 4 pellet option because it's simply more sugar, more food. The catch is, however, that if you take from the 4 pellet option, a door closes and you have to wait 40 seconds before you can use that option again. When on the other hand, if you take from the 1 pellet, you only have to wait 5 seconds between taking pellets out. So at the end of a 40-second period, if you're comparing the two, the 1 pellet option is the better decision to go with because you get more for the amount of time. Now, rats aren't stupid. After a while, after failing a couple times, they realized this and eventually consistently took from the 1 pellet option. However, when first prompted by the situation, they were far more likely to take from the 4 pellet option because it was just more. They just wanted more. High risk, high reward situation. So what can we take away from this when it comes to applying this knowledge to humans? We can see that when prompted by a high risk, high reward situation in which someone has the chance to win big, say at the roulette table or in a poker game, they are far more likely to go for it when first exposed to this. After learning and after making mistakes and realizing that, they'll start going for the safer options, but that critical period of going for the high risk, high reward is an area where humans can lose a lot of money. Next part of why do we gamble is behavioral economics. Now, behavioral economics aim to decompose the processes of evaluation into simple components. So basically simplifying processes that go on in the brain. Now, one tenet central to behavioral economics is prospect theory. And prospect theory has 3 central categories when it comes to gambling. There's loss aversion, betting disparity, and probability calibration. Let's start with loss aversion. Loss aversion is a human's illogical tendency to reject odds when they're even because they don't want to lose. Loss aversion is believed to be underpinned by value computations in the ventral striatum and amygdala, and has been known to be modulated by the neurotransmitter norepinephrine. Now, let's use an example for loss aversion. Let's say I come up to you one day and say, I'm gonna flip a coin. If it lands on heads, you get $1. If it lands on tails, I get $1. Flip the coin. Let's say it doesn't really matter what it lands on actually, because you're gonna reject that odds. It's 50-50 chance, but for some reason, the chances of you losing $1 seems more likely than they actually are. And you're just gonna decline my offer completely, when in reality, it's just flipping a coin, even chance. The next part of behavioral economics is betting disparity. So basically, let's say two guys go up to the roulette table. One guy starts off really well, makes a ton of money, as seen on the left. What he's more likely to do is just cash out and stop betting. He's made so much money, or he's made profit, which is the more important thing, and doesn't want to lose it. He's going to cash out his chips, leave the casino, have a great night. However, the guy on the right gets horrible luck and goes down maybe $100, $200, $1,000, it doesn't matter. Basically, he's more likely to do something called loss chasing, which means he's so desperate to make his money back that he's just going to keep chasing high risk, high reward situations that'll most likely end up with him losing even more money just to break even, because no one likes leaving a casino with less money than they came in with. The final part of behavioral economics is probability calibration. These are subjective distortions that are reflected in brain activity observed in the ventral striatum and dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. They correlate with the striatal dopamine D1 receptor density as well. So, probability calibrations revolve around a human miscalculation with probabilities and overestimating the odds of getting something to be way higher than they actually are. So to do this, I will use the example of Texas Hold'em Poker, the game I was playing on Saturday night. In this game, let's say I'm playing with two friends. Each of us will be dealt 2 cards from the start, each round. And 3 cards will be initially flopped over. Let's say I have a 2 or 3 in my hand, and the slot is a queen, a 4, and an ace. In the next 2 rounds, 2 more cards will be turned over, ending in 5 cards on the deck and 2 cards in your hand. And the goal is to match these cards up in your hand with what's on the board. Now, if I had a 4, I can match it up with a 4, get a pair. If I had an ace, I can match it up with this ace, get a pair. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to find pairs, 3 of a kind, straights, etc. In this situation, I have a 2 and a 3, and there's an ace and a 4 here. That's ace, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of the 5 cards I need to make a straight. All I need is one of the next 2 cards to be a 5, and I have a very good hand. In my mind, because I think the chances are more likely than they actually are, I overestimate the probability. I think it has to be a 5. It's like it's fate. I'm so close, it just has to be a 5. While in reality, the odds, assuming that no one has a 5 in their hand, the odds that the next card has a 5 is a 4 out of 43. So see here we got a 2. And after that is a 4 out of 42. As we see, we got a 3. In this situation, we just probably lost a lot of money that we bet because we overestimated our odds. Now, the next part of answering the question, why do we gamble, comes down to cognitive distortions. These refer to how gamblers think about randomness, chance, and skill. These cognitions can be effectively targeted as one of the elements of pathological gambling in psychotherapy. So, one form of cognitive distortion is the gambler's fallacy, which is the bias of processing random sequences. For example, let's use the roulette table. In this game, you roll a ball around a wheel and you hope to get it on whatever color or number you bet on. So let's say I bet $1 on black, I roll it around, it's a 50-50 chance to go on black. And let's say it lands on black, I get $1. I leave, I went in with $1, came out with $2. However, a high risk, high reward situation would be if I bet on a number. Let's say I bet on the 16 on the left side of the board. If I make this, since there's only one 16 on the board, if the ball rolls around and lands on 16, I make a lot more money than I originally bet. Now, let's say I bet on 16, roll the ball around, and it lands on the 33, right next to the 16. In my head, I think, wow, I'm so close. In a couple turns, I have to get it. Like, this means something. This is a sign. In reality, that's just completely illogical, and it's just part of one of the many human flaws when it comes to the neuroscience of gambling. There is no correlation between 2 numbers that are next to each other. The odds don't become better or worse when it comes to betting. Another cognitive distortion is the illusion of control. And a great example of this is buying a lottery ticket. So pathological gamblers will often believe that they have control of random numbers of chance, etc., when in reality they don't. So let's say I go to the store and buy a lottery ticket and I get the chance to choose my own numbers. I am more likely to do that because I believe me getting to choose somehow increases my probability of winning. I think, oh, putting down my brother's birthday will mean something and I might win. When in reality, when they choose the lottery numbers, it's just chance. It does not matter if a machine chose it or if you chose it. You have an equal chance of winning and losing, most likely losing. Cognitive distortions start to explain to us how addictive gambling can be because of like the misestimations that the human mind makes. Now, the role of dopamine, the neurotransmitter dopamine, is central to understanding why do we gamble. Now, when you win big, let's say you're at the roulette table and you win $30 when you put in $1 by betting on a number. The role of dopamine, or the dopamine neurotransmitter, will light up and flow around the reward circuit in the brain through the frontal cortex striatum, and basically this will affect your decision making because you'll want to get that high again. When at the end of the night, it's less about the money. $30 isn't that much. Like, you can go see a movie or go out to dinner maybe for $30. It's really not that much money. The addicting part is winning, like having bad odds and winning big relative to what you put in. And that's what makes gambling so addictive, this urge to get this dopamine rush again. Conclusion. So, coming full circle to where we started, why did I think my luck was going to change? Why did I think I was going to win big when I was playing with my friends? Most likely, I overestimated my very small odds of breaking even. Besides the fact that I was really desperate to break even. I was chasing a big win because I wanted to impress my friends and get respect. But possibly worst of all, I thought I was in control of what was going on because I believed myself to be a better poker player than my friends, which definitely helps in the game of poker, but if you get bad luck, you're unlucky and it's hard to bluff. So, this breakdown of the neuroscience behind gambling shows us why it's so addicting and so dangerous. To conclude things today, if anything you learned from my presentation, do not gamble. Your bank account will look like this after. Thank you so much. Good night.